the funny thing about this is some episode, some content creators do the whole gag of starting off with by basically implying that a episode or movie or game or whatever they're covering, put them to sleep by doing the whole I'm awake, awake, right? Yeah, adjusting my hair is the version of that because yeah, this it was exactly what I expected. It's nothing but a clip show of Anzu and Shizuka go around Battle City and just kind of reminisce about the Battle City tournament. I don't really have anything new to. I don't have anything to add. It's a tour of Battle City. I don't like the flow of the clips, especially in the dub. The sub got the point within seconds because of that opening bit with Shizuka, catching up to Anzu. That was good, and and I'm also not a fan of either, the Anzuna Tem thing that's kind of been is kind of there but kind of not. Yeah, I'm gonna be mentioning that a lot throughout this entire franchise. Unfortunately, the romances that should be there but aren't for whatever reason, right? So whatever. Regardless, though, oh, I also like the idea of dual discs becoming more widely available, so more kids can duel. That's all cool and everything. It almost feels like there's a bit of a time jump with the commercial available. Now, granted, the tournament could have been just to promote the product. I could actually see the dual discs being promoted by the Battle City tournament, and that's the idea. But shrug. Um, but yeah, overall, this episode, like, see, this is why I decided to put this as my. All right, here, let's talk about Battle City in general rather than just talk about the episode in general because this was the problem I ran into with the rescue all the way back at episode 73. I had nothing to talk about. It's a clip show. What the fuck do I talk about with clip shows? And so I just talked about the nature of clip shows. And walked away. It's like that was it. I am 99% sure I've actually got the folder with all of my uh with all of those there, including one that I'm gonna go ahead and rename in the local copy because to put it in its proper place. There we go. Anyways, so let me look up the rescue, and then I'll be able to tell you how long that episode, how long my episode was for that. There it is. Oh, sorry, it was my bad. It was 74. And the entire video, including my opening, bum 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 bum, bum that whole thing, and of course my minute-long credit sequence was 20 minutes and 5 seconds, and you have to shave off like only a minute and 20 seconds off of that to know how long I did. I yapped about it, and again, I think it was just kind of I was trying to find something to talk about to get the video up to 20 minutes because then I could actually to try and to kind of give my thoughts because I'm already done talking about the episode. Like, what the hell is there for me to say? There's a bunch of kids dueling. It's kind of cool. We don't focus on it because this is a goddamn clip show. And that is the problem with it in a nutshell. Hell, this is a giant nothing burger of an episode. And I know for some that should donate it as a C rank episode, but I'm sorry, no. you have to give me more than just a fucking clip show where it was like where it was clearly wasting time, which is hilarious because now we're going to be spending 53 episodes on filler, which is hilarious, right? Now I'll talk about why we have a giant filler arc, why we have two filler arcs when we actually get to season 5. Because obviously, this was the end of the manga, and they did, Kazuki Takahashi needed more time to, get some more, to get the Millennium World arc written up, drafted up, and all that good stuff, right? Which is ironic when we actually get to when we get to season 5 in the KC Grand Prix, but I digress. So, um, but yeah, no, this is literally fluff. Like I've talked about the difference between filler and fluff. Filler is it's there to fill a runtime, right? As I said, Now some people dismiss filler as just it's filler. We don't need to concentrate on it. But here's the thing. Filler can actually add to a work and make the characters richer and more engrossing. The problem lies in something like, say, Yu-Gi-Oh, where as soon as the filler's done, we're basically just hands off on it. Now, the sub did try to kind of connect the virtual world arc and the Alcatraz arc together. The Alcatraz portion of the Battle City, the Battle City finals together, and I don't think it succeeded very well. Especially considering we're done referencing Noah and Gosaburo past this point. Well, okay, sorry, that's a lie. We're not done referencing Gosaburo at this point, but we are completely done referencing Noah as far as I know, right? Unless he's mentioned in the sub a few times, I think we're done mentioning Noah. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure we're done mentioning him in the dub, you know? Which is funny because I think the dub actually has some clips out of order, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see how that all goes. I will go ahead and I will say this about how the Doma arc. I've not been a big fan of it, and everything I know about the Japanese version does not fill me with confidence that it will, that it will do anything except be a nat 1. It's not going to be a nat 20, it's going to be a nat 1. And I really don't think, how do I put it? How do I put this? I think I think one of the big problems that I have with Battle City is just how many people say, it's the most economically sound arc in all of Yu-Gi-Oh and yada yada yada. The funny thing is that I do not think Battle City deserved to be 2 seasons. Now you could say, well, it arguably wasn't because we had a giant filler arc. But that's kind of my point. I feel like if we had had 2 full seasons of filler and had actually just gotten Alcatraz Tower, done up, I think it would have been better. But I do have to agree with Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything when he says that if we had a direct one-to-one adaptation from the manga, like go from the original series, so basically go from season 0 all the way to the end, I think we'd have the greatest anime of all time. But the problem with DM is that there's a lot of meandering around. And I feel like that's evident even within the non-filler content, especially considering there is filler content within the main story content. Battle for the Bronze comes to mind immediately. That duel never happened in the manga. Best of Friends, Best of Duelists never happened in the manga. And it didn't occur to me until right there that those are 2 of Joey's duels that didn't happen in the manga. what the fuck? Because that means in the manga, the only non-cheater he goes up against is Mako Tsunami. Well, and Odeon. So yeah, Mako Tsunami and Odeon. Those are the only two cheaters he doesn't go up against. And yes, I count Merrick, pulling Shadow Game shenanigans as a cheat. Because let's face it, he's a dark spirit with insane amounts of stamina. So of course, and trap strategies. Also, he's the one that orchestrated the thing. So, oh yeah, I don't have that many monsters in my deck. That's why I'm not going to be as affected by the whole energy stream thing. Anyways, but yeah. I guess I just got right in. Like I said, I have nothing to say about the episode proper, so actually I can put my notes away. Because I didn't write down any notes about Battle City as a whole. Because there isn't really any point to it. There wasn't any beats I really wanted to kind of focus on, so there was no reason in putting it down as a note, right? Because Battle City, I basically don't have much to say about Battle City in general because I've said all I need to about Battle City in this wrap up. If you were to do a supercut of all of my Battle City videos, this would be effectively, the final stretch. There is nothing for me to say that I haven't already said. I think Battle City is too long. That's my biggest hot take. I think you could have slimmed it down. Not chopped anything out, but slimmed it. Slimmed it, okay? I have stated that many, 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 many times. There are scenes you can remove. There are elements you can remove. There are individual characters that I do think if you just threw them out the window, the pacing would improve dramatically. But I'm not saying get rid of get rid of any of the duels that happened except for two, if we're counting the very start of season 2 with the mystery duelist with Brainwash Bandit Keith. If we're starting with Brainwash Bandit Keith, there is literally only two duels I think you could just eject from Battle City in its entirety. No, sorry. If we include Alcatraz in that, three duels you could literally toss out the window and you would lose, in my opinion, fuck all. And I know I'm going to get some pushback for this, but those three duels are Johnny Steps. Admittedly, nobody's going to push back against that. Who the fuck likes Johnny Steps? Seriously. Even my foot disliked Johnny Steps, for fuck's sakes. Thanks. Lights, camera, duel. Again, who the fuck is going to defend Jean-Claude Magnum's inclusion? Who the hell is going to who the hell is going to defend that fucking misogynistic pig? And three, and this is the one I'll actually get pushback on. Battle for the Bronze. Joey versus Kaiba, that didn't need to happen. Especially considering we just had Kaiba be a fucking asshole for 3 episodes, and that was the whole point of that three-parter. I don't understand why people say that three-parter is important for Seto's character, because it's not. It never fucking was. And even if you want to claim there's some importance, all I can say is that the importance doesn't come until Mokuba yells at him. There's a reason why that duel didn't happen in the manga. Okay, and that reason is it went straight into the final duel, and I think pacing-wise, that was the more accurate. That was the more accurate shit. Because yeah, Battle for the Bronze is basically filler. Let's just be real with ourselves. Battle for the Bronze is as much filler, and I do mean that in the fluff sense, as this very episode. As looking back and moving ahead, I hated this episode, and honestly, I don't understand the enthusiasm. I think Battle City is overrated. I have always felt Battle City is overrated. It's not bad. I want to stress that part. Bad? Fuck no. Anybody who's saying that Battle City is bad, Ed, I would argue against wholeheartedly. No question. Because calling Battle City bad is like, oh my god, wow, no, 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 right? Now, we'll ignore the fact that Battle City had 3 rant views in it, but that does not make something bad. Wait until we get to the Doma arc, okay? Then you'll understand bad, okay? Because I am going to be railing against so many episodes in the Doma arc. It's ridiculous, and so many characters. Even if I don't end up giving a bunch of those episodes rant view, the Doma arc has 3 big problems that cripple. And I do want to stress this point: cripple 3 plot points, 3 characters. Sorry, 3 characters and 3 plot points that cripple my enjoyment of the Doma arc completely. The plot points are the treatment of Mai, the fact that I don't agree with Atem activating the Seal of Orichalcos in any setting except for the Abridged series, and the fact that Atem basically is just fine like 2 or 3 episodes later, basically. Also, fuck that Spirit Quest. I've always hated that Spirit Quest shit. We'll see if the sub has anything to say about it, but I'm in agreement with the Abridged series. What the fuck even is this season with the fact that that whole symbolic shit is just bullshit. Ugh, but again, we'll talk about it when we get there. Because yeah. The other problem with Battle City for me is looking back at some of the duels, I don't think these are very good duels. I don't think Master of Magicians is that great. I don't think I don't think the Esperoba duel is very good. Playing with a parasite bores the shit out of me. Out of me, because that is like literal. That almost feels like I could stamp it with season 1 shenanigans, and nobody would argue against me on that. The excuse me. Ugh. I think one of the biggest things for me when it comes to Battle City and just feeling like it's overrated is so many people praise that thing up and down and 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 up and down. They praise it so hard, so often, and to such a ludicrous degree that I felt, and I mean this sincerely, I feel like Battle City suffers the most from pendulum effect. Doma is just one that kept getting worse and worse and worse the more times I saw it. Now, whether or not it's going to go up or down is going to depend heavily on how good or bad the sub is. And keep in mind, I am going with the Crunchyroll subs. So if that has anything to do with it, whatever. All I can do is just shrug, because my problems with it are stuff that the subtitles can't really fix all that much, because I don't agree with Atem activating the Seal Word Calcos, and I have basically been screaming at nauseating length about how much I fucking disagree with Mai joining a fucking cult. The fact of the matter is that if she was actually a character, if we had actually established Mai as an actual character, then her turn to the dark side would have impact. It would have merit. It would have something. But what we get is nothing. We have nothing going for us with my turning to the dark side, because because I shouldn't say we. I don't care about my going to the dark side because other than the fact that it pisses me off. Why? Because that's not what I wanted to see out of Mai. What I wanted to see out of Mai was what I wanted to see out of Mai was for her to get better. Was for her to bounce back and come back swinging. I didn't want her. I didn't want her sitting there, freaking being evil for no fucking reason. And don't even get me started on the whole I must kill Joey in order to be happy shit, because that doesn't make any sense. There has to be a degree of logic. And I'm sorry, going immediately to hating on Joey is just fucking stupid. It's also why I bitched last week about that stupid "your friendship is too bright" line. Because I despise that line with every fiber of my being. Battle City. What's funny is I think Battle City would be a better time if the Doma arc didn't exist. Because without the Doma arc existing, Battle City could actually, the door opens to like infinite possibilities. I feel like, but the problem is that the Doma arc has some cool shit in it too. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight comes to mind immediately. You know? Mirror Force Dragon. Again, Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. The, just a whole lot of really cool stuff. The problem, and what ultimately kills Battle City for me, though, is I just don't see the growth in Seto Kaiba like everybody else does. I don't see that man having grown. And again, the virtual world arc's placement is exactly the problem. Think about it this way. Hey, sure, virtual world arc would still be filler even if it took place in between in Alcatraz and Doma. But spiritually, it wouldn't feel like filler if it was there, would it? No, spiritually, it would feel like, well, as I mentioned, mentioned with all the way back in those terrible Ruby videos that I may or may not redo at some point. There's merit. There's merit to having the Doma arc, to having the for the Doma arc to be the results screen, right? Right. The final confrontation with Gosaburo, burying the past, yes, confronting Seto's demons, and finally moving on from it, instead of it just being a one-off line in the penultimate episode of the fucking season. It doesn't work. Battle City for me was 70 episodes. Well, no, sorry. Well, yeah, roughly 70 episodes of just a colossal waste of my time. And I know that rubs people, that is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. Because, oh, how fucking dare you. But this is how fucking dare I. Again, trim. You don't cut out, you trim. You shave out some scenes you don't need, and you just make it flow. I know this can work because I've watched Dragon Ball Z Kai. The Saiyan arc, that took what was that, 13 episodes in Kai, because they didn't waste their time with the random hyperbolic time chamber. They didn't. Now, like, granted, I think you could have added like 2 or 3 episodes so we could have gotten a stronger payoff of Piccolo's sacrifice. But again, there was still a flow to it, as opposed to sitting there and just like being like, and sitting there for like a bajillion years. You know, the Namek arc was actually a prime example of that. What was that like? You know, set 2 or 3, and we were fine. We were already fighting Frieza. If that. I'd have to look at the episode list again, but like I'm pretty sure that that it wasn't that much. I am actually going to look it up. Just give me a second, because I need you to understand this. Dragon Ball Z Kai episode list. All right, list of Dragon Ball Z Kai episodes. Let's see, what do we got? All right, so so yeah, within 10 episodes, they had the first 25 episodes of the show done. Hun, just to name one example. Okay, Frieza. So, sorry, my bad. 18 episodes is how long it took them to finish the Saiyan arc. Then you had the Frieza stuff. When did you finish defeating Goku went Super Saiyan in episode 47, which took him roughly 95 episodes in the original series. And Frieza was finally defeated at episode 54. Or technically, I guess technically 52 or 53. But again, and that shaved off of according to Wikipedia here, about 53 episodes. And I think something along those lines for the Battle City arc would work immensely well. I actually think Battle City would be better paced if you slimmed it. Again, don't chop anything out, just slim it. And you could easily chop out at least these 12 to 15 episodes worth of content. Although I would argue let's get rid of some of the filler shit, too, but that's a whole other side issue. Battle City, for me, is not peak Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, to be honest with you, the more I go through DM, the more I'm like, wow, I'm surprised I stuck with this show. Like, I know that's blasphemous because, again, I play the damn game. So I have, I have I have a Blue Eyes deck. Heck, here. It's blasphemous to say. Hell, I even have a Magician's deck. Heck, somewhere over there. I'm not going to waste your time by going and digging it out. But of all the Yu-Gi-Oh shows, DM feels like it's actually the biggest slog to get through, because I find myself not caring about the original series as much as I used to. I'm actually more excited to get to shit where I haven't really experienced it before. I'm actually excited to get to, for example, the 4th season of GX, the final arc of 5Ds. The entirety of Zexal, which, fresh reminder, we're only doing in the sub because seriously, fuck that dub. Uh, I'm looking forward to all of that. But I just cannot get excited about the old stuff the way I know some people do. I don't have a nostalgia for Clash in the Coliseum, and I don't think it's that good. I feel it is overhyped, overblown, overdone. And the irony is that my favorite duel in the entire show is the final duel. Somehow I think that says everything it needs to, because what's funny is that my three favorite duels from memory are the three final battles. The three canonical final battles, no less. Yes, Match of the Millennium, Final Face Off, and Final Duel. Then again, I also think the DSOD duels are better. That's going to be a treat to watch DSOD again. I love that movie. Granted, I've only seen it dubbed, so we'll see which one I prefer. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be awesome in the sub too. Don't mistake me. But shrug. But I'm rambling at this point. I mean, granted, I've been rambling just on and on about my problems with Battle City, but Battle City for me was always the arc I didn't give a shit about. It was the arc that I just felt had the least amount of interesting ideas to the table. And I know that is blasphemy to a lot of Yugi boomers. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't think this was peak storytelling. I honestly feel like you could have tweaked a couple of things and this would have been infinitely better. But it didn't, so it isn't. Now, I have got about a week. I've got about roughly just under a week to wait before I can cover the next topic that I will be going for. But I'm going to be using a different notebook for the next one because I don't think I'm going to wait on diving into the Doma arc, and I'm not going to sully. And I'm sorry, but I sure as fuck am not sullying this notebook with the pyramid of lame. We're gonna switch to this notebook. This is my red Hilroy notebook, and we will of course be going ahead and covering the insanity and irritation that is. The irritation and insanity that is Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, Pyramid of Light. And we will, of course, discuss its many, many failures and very few successes, and see if the sub is all that the internet has cracked it up to be next time. So don't be surprised if next week is a rant view. Oh, and by the way, regardless of how long it takes Steve to get me the thumbnail, he's still working on it, by the way, from my perspective. No matter how long it takes him for that thumbnail, it won't take me very long to create the thumbnail for Pyramid of Light. It's literally just grab the poster and either glare at it or flip it off. One of the two. Yeah. But we'll talk about all that shit next time. So until then, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. And if you want to enjoy Battle City to its fullest, I recommend the manga more than anything. Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Duel stand by.